The hiring landscape is evolving fast and the real stories are in the details. This is TS Friday and I'm Aisha, your host. Joining me today is Maria from Wipro, who's right at the center of large scale hiring and changing candidate expectations. So let's get into it with Maria. But before that, Maria, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Asha. Thanks for this evening, and it was pleasure connecting you. And hi to all. Myself, Maria Albina, and I've been working as an assistant manager in Wipro, and it's been 6 months with Wipro now. And my overall experience is around 12 years. And since 2014, I'm into IT and non-IT hiring, talent acquisition team. I'm basically from Bangalore, so born and brought up, everything is here, my studies and all. So after my MBA, I had to start up here, and almost 6.5 years, almost 7 years, I had been with FIS. Post my wedding, I had joined Wipro, and then yes, it's continuing still now, and I'm staying with my family now, and that's about me.
Very excited to understand more from you about the recruitment and the HR world and your journey, your career graph does sound very interesting to us.
Thank you.
So, Maria, let's step into the courtroom then. So, this is a
Sure.
recruitment court, and I'm going to present some cases to you, and you decide
Okay.
for us and the audiences what stands and what doesn't, right?
Sure.
Case one, candidates prioritizing brand over role clarity, smart move or risky choice. What's your take?
Okay, so this is actually a tricky question because considering the current situation, it's like two different, pillars. Like one side it's a brand, the other side is a role. So if you ask me, it's a risky choice. So brand is something, yes, obviously it's popped up, right? Once they say this particular brand, everybody, just wanted to be part of that organization. So if you consider brand, initial phase, like maybe in this experience line, I'm just saying because I started in a normal consultancy, but still that was a very strong foundation. So going forward, I learned that it's not about brand, it's about the role and what you learn in day-to-day basis. So in that way, if you say an early person who's starting after a UG or a PG, maybe that can be a spot where they can think about brand. But if it is going on a role, maybe in a mid-level, and post that, they should look for a strong foundation on the role basis because that's for long run.
Right.
And moreover, if they're going to do it from a mid-size, obviously yes, brand will be considered. They will have a lot of opportunities for a cross-functional roles, and they can explore themselves. And the same thing applies a little bit in the initial phase because they have opportunity and their fresh mind to learn everything. So maybe a good brand supports them to do from the initial phase as a strong foundation. Yes, that would be good. So if you ask me, in between of moving on a brand instead of a role for a long run, it'll be definitely a risky part to choose brand.
We close this case. Moving on to the next case. The second one is over resilience on job descriptions for hiring decisions, necessary or outdated. What's your take?
Cannot exactly consider JD as an outdated part. I can say it's kind of an OG because job description is something gives a first point of communication as an invitation or maybe a posting where it attracts people saying this is the JD. So people just go look what is it and try to apply themselves where they wanted to join the particular organization. So the first
Right.
spark is that JD which matches your profile, and it's just not the keywords. They just okay, this is a JD. I'll have to update my resume in this way and upload it. So this is how it's going to capture. Now, considering AI is the trend and everybody is behind it, so that automatically captures what is in your resume.
Right.
But the real intent is when you're going to go for an interview and the profile looks good, but if you don't perform, maybe you are not able to put up at that point of time will not help. JD is something which is important. Maybe using the AI tool, it can be little more shortened, or maybe it can be used for a very specific skill sets or what kind of a role it's going to be.
Right.
Maybe a similar kind of a version will help people to understand, but I will not say it's completely outdated, but it can be upgraded, so it can be useful for the very current, scenarios.
Third case that we present in front of you, Maria, is that panel interviews with too many stakeholders, thorough or inefficient.
Okay, so this is also day to day when we discuss we do want to have it cut short in. It should not be too many panels in the same line. So if
Right.
I remember my first interview, I had a panel of only one or two.
Mhm.
Then it had a group discussion, so we had to come out of the shell where it was difficult. So it was 2 3 rounds. It considered and freshers, yes, we accept that point of time. We'll have to go through everything and get the job
Correct.
in a experience point of time. If it is too much pressurized, it will be chaotic around the panel itself because each person will have a question. Maybe one will have a different opinion on the other. The perspective might change.
Right.
So the other point what they can have is maybe they can have a different people, maybe one for technical role, one for cultural fit, and the other one to look on the behavioral side. So that's how we come to the HR part, the final round, to see how the candidate is can be examined, or maybe we can see maybe a right fit. How does it work on the behavioral side also? So we can have a minimal discussion, and the candidate will be open to discuss, and he'll be very much free to have his answers on the plate.
Final case that we present in front of you, Maria. Hiring based on potential over proven experience. Worth the bet or too risky? What's your verdict?
Potential is also important along with the experience. It just depends on the scenarios and how the current hiring process looks like.
Thank you so much for those crisp answers and giving your verdict on our cases. Moving on to our next segment, Maria, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. The first question, working in an organization like Wipro, where hiring happens at scale, what's one challenge that looks very simple on the outside, but it's actually very complex to solve?
Okay, so hiring looks very simple. So generally, when it's HR, it's an easy note, but it is not. So maybe the other peers or colleagues will definitely take it as an echo. It is looks a little easier from out, but not from internally, because when we join a new organization, processes are different. The ATS is different. What we come with the previous experience, we try to implement here, and also we learn from here on the current organization what kind of an atmosphere, what kind of a job roles we get, and how we have to start our work from scratch. So one thing I would say is candidate experience, which is also part of which most of them have to take in. Each HR has to think in their perspective. When they were candidate, what was the response from the other HR which they were looking for a job? Okay, we'll get back to you is what the common word every time HRs give back. Okay, we check and come back. So which is most of them a hated answer when even when I was a person looking for a job. So it's just that we have to keep that in mind and see candidate experiences first. And then based on that, if you plan, I think that should be a good, process for us.
So that was very well put, Maria. So that brings me to my next question. There's a lot of focus on candidate experience today, and where do you think companies are still getting it wrong?
Company wise, if you think they only see how much skilled person we can get,
Right.
and how relevant profile is going to be, how soon the candidate will be available, whether
Correct.
he's going to be in the budget, or whether we can fit him in any other particular roles, how soon we can get. It's only about the rushing of hiring, but he sees what the candidate thinks from his point of view. For example, we can't keep a candidate wait for a long time for an interview, because you schedule the interview, you get the panel in, and try to check the call and get the session started. If it's a virtual thing, that time it's a little leisure, because we can say panel has occupied another call, there's a client call, there's a town hall, a lot of reasons. But still, candidate, sometimes they do accept it and they proceed. But if it is a scheduled call and it happens rightly, as a first impression, maybe from the time you connect them, give a proper clarity, be transparent about the role. So that gives them the connectivity, where we give them now and then the correct update. This is how the job role works. This is the budget. This is how we are going to propose it. And this is the mode of interview. This is the process, pre-documentation, post-documentation, the initial checks. If everything is given a brief understanding to the candidate, I think that will be a fit, and we don't need to spend our time every time following up later. Okay, will the candidate will join? It'll be like a 50-50 later to think whether the candidate is going to join or not. I learned it throughout this years of experience, so that really helped me, and I should thank my seniors for those. And I had my decline ratio very less, the offer decline ratio less. So that was maybe something motivating. So basically, I'm a people person, so that was easier to connect with them.
Transparency does go a long way. Moving on to our next segment, let's take a step back from frameworks and talk real experiences so that we can understand recruitment world through your eyes. So the question for you here is, tell us about one hiring moment, Maria, that stayed with you. It could be a tough role you closed, a candidate you almost lost, or a decision that didn't go as planned. What did you take away from it?
So that was a very close question for me, because I just experienced that a week back. And this was one of the role where I had maybe the selection was easy, the process was easy, identified the candidate very light, but the process of completing the offer was tough due to some internal changes and some mappings and all. It did take time, and usually candidates don't wait for very long time. They follow up for a couple of time, and when we give the repeated answers, they do get, okay, this is not going to work, it's gone. It's like a ghosting. Generally the word which is being used, like, okay, they're not going to respond back.
Ghosting,
It's the
yeah.
same old. But the other side, the candidate had that much of interest on the role. He definitely wanted to join. So he was keep on following up, and that pushed me to push my seniors to see what is happening on the offer. At least just say yes or no, we'll close it, instead of delaying the process for a very long time. And you'll not believe, it was almost 2.5 months, and I offered him, and now it's offer accepted. So that was one thing, like patience both the side, coordination both the side. It was a mutual understanding. I did give a transparency things to certain extent professionally, telling that certain things are happening internally. We had to wait for these, and that's approval based, so we had to go on. One point of time, he was like, "Okay, let me at least drop the offer. Please tell me yes or no. I'll at least go with the other offer." But I said, I cannot assure you because I can't make somebody to wait for the offer. He might
Of
just
course.
choose something else and so that was one thing. But along the learning process was it has to be clarity. Again, it falls on the transparency side.
Right.
From if you be very transparent and give a clear information, they should be in your track. So yes, he is interested to join, and that offered when that was the day I was like, yeah, my day was good.
An interesting story and actually gives us a real insight of how things go behind the curtains. Thank you for that, Maria. Now let's switch gears. I'm going to give you two real hiring scenarios, and you tell us
Okay.
what you would do in that moment, right? So, scenario one: a candidate looks perfect on paper but seems disengaged during the interview. Do you move forward or pause?
No, I would say we'll have to pause. Profile is going to be good and person is not is also not going to work. And either way, if the profile is not matching and the person is not engaging, we can still have a chance. It's like maybe it's not that day for him to prepare. Maybe he was in a rush. It can be any scenario. So
Got it.
as a person, I would say we can just give another chance to have a preparation and then take a call because there are other candidates also waiting for the similar opportunity.
Second scenario, you are about to close a role and suddenly the business changes the requirement, right? What's your next
Okay.
step?
Okay, this also happens quite often, but I would not say it in the end moment or in the last stage. We do get during the course of hiring, this happens. Maybe there is a internal change or a client requirement change. They want a little tweak of the role, or maybe they need an additional skill sets or certification, something like that, where additional thing comes in. We had to do that. We would say first to give a proper discussion with the business or the client. The
Right.
intake details or the calibration call needs to be very precise and what is that they are really looking out for. See, they can
Got it.
take time initially to give us the JD or to give a clarity on the role, what kind of a person we need for this particular role.
Right.
And to fill the position, these are the criterias. If it is very crisp and short, yes, this is what we need, we are good to hire.
Right.
Any down the lane changes come, as you ask. I would say first we had to talk back to the business whether we can train the person. If this is not going to be that challenging, can we bring the same person and train them? If cost effective and other things come in place. The second thing is we'll have to give a transparency immediately to the candidate if it doesn't work because we cannot keep the person whole for
Thank you.
long.
So, audiences, get your popcorn and coffee because we are moving on to everyone's favorite rapid fire round. Are you ready for this one, Maria? My first question to you: one part of your job people underestimate the most.
Would say our patience.
We agree to that. One small win at work that makes your day.
Okay, there is a L1 shortlist or L2 short. There's a select for the role.
The most unpredictable part of hiring.
This is a little tricky. You can say maybe the mindset,
Hmm.
either way around.
Right.
Maybe today is yes, tomorrow it may be a no.
Last bonus mic drop question for you, Maria. We are having such great fun interacting with you. So, if you could redesign one part of the hiring process from scratch, what would it be?
Shortened call, maybe a very crisp call, whether it is for updates or for any kind of a discussion.
So that's a wrap on this TS Friday episode, guys. Thanks, Maria, for sharing your perspectives with us. Like I said, we had really a good time interacting with you. If this episode got you thinking, guys, share it with someone from your TA circle. See you all next Friday. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Aisha. Thanks for your time.